Hi, it's DeTracey, the founder of Women Thriving with MS, where we help guide and coach women on how to live their best life with MS. You know, my life did not start out living with MS in a good way. It was messy, it was ugly, it was bad, Oh, I felt like I was on another planet. Can you relate to that? I had so much stress in my life. I literally thought that I was going to die. Like inside, I knew like logically I wasn't, but that fear in me was so big. And the level of stress that I experienced was massive. It was massive. And I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning. Uh, I was afraid that I would lose who I was as a person. I had been at the peak of my career. I was traveling as a speaker, which was my dream for so many years, so many years. I wanted that. And I had anchored myself into my career, and it had become my entire identity, or most of my identity, other than being a pet owner and being a runner. All the things that were so important to me in my life. And actually, at that time, I used running as a way to release stress, to process my thoughts, to find that mental clarity. So when that was taken away from me, I was devastated. I didn't want to live. And I'm not joking about this. It's not like I attempted suicide, but I was down in the dumps in a really bad way. And I didn't know how I was going to get out at the time. And I started searching. I thought, this cannot be all there is to life. Like living with fatigue from the time I wake up in the morning till the time I go to bed. I just come off of 3 days of drip steroids, which did save my left side and reduce the brain inflammation, but it didn't help what was happening up in the penthouse suite. That was the crazy place. That was the place where the thoughts that were causing all that suffering. And having that pain and suffering in my head spilled out into my life, and I was making horrible decisions. I suddenly ended a relationship. I did a lot of crazy stuff. Oh gosh. And, in all of that, of course, in that sort of crisis state, I wasn't able to even deal with things like paying my bills on time. It was totally out of character to who I was as a person. And so I knew that I couldn't continue to operate that way. I knew that I needed to find ways to function better in my life, that I needed to find a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And I recognized that stress was a major factor. And so the first thing that I did was I started reading books, and I read several books actually by a woman named Susan Piver. And she talked about meditation and being silent and getting used to yourself. And so I thought, okay, I can explore that. And then I went on the silent retreats, and I got into meditation, and I attended a meditation group. But I realized that wasn't all. That wasn't going to dissipate stress completely. It was just about being able to be aware of the thoughts that were going through my head. And I started taking a program on self-empathy and understanding that aspect of things. And there were so many areas, learning about how to distract myself when my thoughts were spinning into places that I didn't want them to go, or being able to embrace and acknowledge those feelings. Both are important. And also having that how would I put it? I'm just thinking here about not only distraction, but disruption. being able to disrupt the thoughts, being able to move on from those thoughts quickly and shift that state of mind. Breath, working with the breath, being able to breathe and be conscious around doing that and aware. Releasing the stress in different ways through breath and other methods was a big game changer for me. And then also figuring out how to bust through adversity, because, when you live with MS, you're faced with adversity all the time, externally inside here and in the outside world, both worlds, right? But the inside world is the one that we have control over. And that's what I was able to realize is I didn't have control over what was happening outside me, but as I dealt with the stress and the stress release process within myself and navigated that journey, which is really an 11-year journey. I've been living with MS for over 11 years now. This wasn't something that happened overnight for me. This is like an ongoing process, but I now have so much more control over my thoughts and how to deal with stress in a way that I didn't before. So that when I go into a state, I have tools to pull me out. And that has been a huge change for me. And this is something that I really want you to have too. I want you to be able to feel that you can live your best life because you feel that you're more in control of your life. And that has been a huge factor for me, to feel that I'm in more control of my life by managing stress and MS stressors in such a better way. It makes a huge, huge difference. And I believe that you can have this too. And that's why I created the MS stress release process. And I did a live version of it in October, and there were amazing women that came and attended that event, or those events. There were 4 events. And now I have created an online course in which there's the audio, the video, and the transcripts. So I'd love for you to join. You can click the link above or below, wherever you are. Maybe if you're getting the email, you're getting the link, you're going to click below. If you're watching this on Facebook, then you're going to be clicking above, and check out the details. I'm so excited. There's a deadline, so you'll see that in there. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. You can even put those in the chat below or email me, whatever works for you. And I will see you soon. Bye now.